Welcome back to the front page. I'm Chuck Mraz. Our guest is Chuck Woolery, and you obviously have heard of Chuck. He's been on a number of game shows, and actually back in 1968 had a top 40 hit with his band Avant-Garde called Naturally Stoned. And Chuck, I heard the song just the other day, as a matter of fact, as a child of the 60s, I wanted to go back, and I found it on YouTube. Had a chance to find it.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah, it's there. It's definitely a 60s song.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, good vibrations, things like that. Words like that are a real tip-off.
Well, I also found at the same time, I had to admit I had fun with that, because then I found Ted Nugent with the Amboy Dukes from 1968, Journey to the Center of Your Mind.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of funny because if you listen to Naturally Stoned, and most people won't, I understand that, but if you do, I plagiarized and didn't realize it at the time, because I wrote it myself. I plagiarized the theme from James Bond, from all the Goldfinger things. So if you listen to the suspended A's as they go up and down, you go, God, this sounds vaguely familiar. Well, it's the theme from James Bond, that's why. But I didn't know it until literally the record was out 6 months, and I kept thinking, gosh, this sounds, okay, never mind.
People don't know this, but you have your own line of fishing gear, too.
I do. Yeah, well, got to have something. That's mine. My passion is bass fishing. I know this is really boring for most people, and try to have a conversation in Beverly Hills at a party with people about bass fishing, their eyes glaze over in about a minute and a half. And I'm real enthusiastic and passionate about it, too, which is even worse, because, I'm standing there with this passion kind of outflow down, and people are sleeping all around me. And, yeah, I love it. I really love it.
And you've done all these different types of shows. Why not a fishing show?
No money in it, number one, and it's not as much fun. The minute you turn it into a business, I mean, I got into making lures and vests and collapsible or telescoping rods and things like that, and hat lights and NASA glasses. I got into all of those things because I wanted them and they didn't exist. So I just, once I was in the lure business, I was able to go to China and say, can you make this for me? And so each product has a certain need that I wanted to fulfill. Number one is I wanted to take 2 casting rods with me that were pro-size rods. And once you get past a 1-piece rod, most guys, for anybody that fishes out there, if it's a 2-piece rod, you're not talking to a bass fisherman. They like 1-piece rods, period. But if it's I'm going fishing or I'm not, then you got to go with what you got. I don't want to carry a big 7-foot rod locker around with me. I can take 2 of my rods, completely rig them with my tackle box, which is my vest, like a fly fisherman wears, except hard stuff, and lay it in my suitcase, put it in an overhead, and I can go fish anywhere in the world. So in fact, it's what I brought in here to fish today. I'm sure this guy that I'm going fishing with has plenty of rods, but I got my own stuff. So, and I did Charlie Moore, beat Charlie Moore in New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, and so we fished 3 days up there. I never used his rod. I used mine the entire time. And he looked at me and said, where'd you get that thing? I said, I had it made for me. They're great. I love them.
I like the NASA glasses, I got to tell you that.
Yeah, I know. I do too. I love the NASA glasses. They're great. But the point is, all of this stuff came around. I didn't want to turn it into a business and go compete with pros and all that, because I'm not a pro. I'm just a guy who really likes to fish.
What's the next project? I know that Lingo ended production a couple of years ago?
Yeah, Lingo's about 1.5 years out, and I've been trying to convince them for years to syndicate that show, and on the list, it's very funny, the larger the corporation, the less interested they are to expand. Isn't that odd? But on Sony's list of things to do, I don't think Lingo is very high on their chart. Now, it's the #1 show on GSN and has been since the second day it was on the air. But they look at it as a rerun instead of a first run, where in fact, if they would just take a first run, go into syndication, it would blow up, because it's got such a vast audience, and the demographics on Lingo are incredible. They're 7 to 15, 15 to 35, 35 to 70, and they're as strong in each one of those demos. It's just odd. I've never had a show like it. And Sony at this point just isn't interested in syndicating it, and I don't know why.
Couple of minutes left on the program, but as you go back...
With you and me?
Yeah.
That's it?
We could hang around and do this all day, I know.
Yeah.
But,
people are out there on their steering wheel going, this is interesting.
Either that or in the ditch because they've done that, but as you go back in your career and kind of connect the dots of where you've been and maybe where you'd like to go, do you ever say to yourself, I worked hard for this, but at the same time, I'm one lucky fella?
No, I don't believe in luck, and I do believe in work, but I do believe in destiny and a lot of things, and people can poo-poo this if they want to, but I think God has led me through my life like a blind person. Because, it's just too extraordinary, the things that have happened to me, and I think that I was just willing to go along and say, Lord, I have no idea where I'm going in my life. You lead me. And I did that many, many times, and I still do it today. So I don't know when you say what's in the future for me, I have no clue. It may come out of nowhere and be totally unrelated. But I think that's how the leadership of my life really falls there. I'm a spiritual guy. I believe in the Lord. That's it.
You're also a part-time minister, is that right?
No, I've never been a part-time
Okay,
minister.
well, I think I read something online that said something.
Well, you can leave a lot of things online.
Yeah, that's true, and I know most of them aren't true, and we can kind of get into some of those the next time you visit, but do you have some ideas for something you'd like to do next, or?
You know what? I don't. It's really funny. I kind of sit and wait, and it breaks to me sooner or later. I have a lot of clients that I handle around the country that I have a great relationship with, and I do a lot of that. MSPR Water in Detroit, Michigan. I've got Dignity out of Houston. So I have people like that I work with, and we have a good relationship. So I don't know what's going to happen with the show. I'm 68 now. I don't look it and I don't act it, I know that, but I still am 68. And when guys look at a 68-year-old guy and say, okay, we're going to start a new show, who do we want to host this? Where's Chuck Woolery? You know, he's always good, people like him. Yeah, but he's 68, you know, in 3 years he'll be what, 71? So they think in terms of that and picture what 71 is in their head. And a lot of times, excuse me, I didn't mean to hit my mic. A lot of times that that influences their decisions as to what they're going to do, and I understand that. And that's okay. So we'll just see. You know, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I will work. I'm one of those guys that will carry me out feet first. I really love to work.
Chuck, thanks so much for being with us here on the front page.
Thank you, Chuck.
And thanks again for coming to campus, too.
It's great to be here.
Again, Chuck Woolery, our guest today on the front page. And if you didn't know this, he's back on campus to MC tonight at the Celebration of MSU Athletics. He'll be there for the dinner. He'll be there for the auction. And I guess I'm going to be there too, but you'll probably want to come see him and not me. I'm Chuck Mraz, host of the Front Page. See you next time.